Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast. It's Group D time. Let's go. Let's go. It's Group D time in ESL Pro League Season 13. Let's go.
I feel like we're on City Slickers set. You know, when what's his name? He's like yelling at all the cowboys or whatever.
Oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast. My name is Adam Code. I'm your host. I'm very pumped. I'm very excited. Dan, my co-host.
Yes, sir.
My buddy, my friend.
That's me.
What is happening?
It's a little hump day. Glad it's over. Looking forward to some Group D, as you so aptly put, and it's finally here.
Yeah, man. Real quick, let's just you and I talk about Group C really quick.
No, Adam. We're in Group D.
I understand, but we still need to recap Group C like we've done with every other group so far. I feel like we've done with every other group. Did anything in the final results of Group C really surprise you?
No.
I mean, we kind of said, like, going into this, Gambit, Furia, and Na'Vi were the three strongest out of this group, and Cloud9 really were the ones that had a chance of, like, doing something. Yep. MIBR ended up in fourth. I mean, still MIBR and Cloud9 with 2 and 3. I gotta tell you, I'm really impressed with this MIBR roster. I'm very, very impressed with them. What were your thoughts on MIBR?
Also impressed. I think they may have a little bit of a high concentration of what's the right word? Incello. Like, I think they might rely on him too much, which other teams could exploit. But Yell came through today, and
your boy,
Bolts. Yeah,
your boy. We all know Dan's well-documented thoughts on how he played Yell that one slate and just did nothing.
Died. I died.
It's absolutely nothing.
So yeah, no, I'm a MIBR fan. I have faith now. So I'll leave it at that.
I really think for overall in general, what we saw at MIBR again, I'm not going to go at that last iteration that was there for a bit, but the iteration before that, what we actually thought of MIBR, like Fallen, Taco, KNGV, for Fallen. There was one on, I just can't think of who it was. I apologize to that fifth MIBR person, but like even in the second iteration after that, when you had KNGV and VSM and Lucas and the rest of that squad, right?
Yeah.
They did exceed everyone's expectation from the first time they played. This roster, and we know it's the core four of that Boom roster. Boom, not exactly a tier 1 team, but MIBR, I don't know whether they bought or whatever the lingo is, right? They came up in MIBR, moving from whatever tier Boom was in, tier 2 or 3, I have no idea which tier that was, moving up in a tier 1 Counter-Strike. They, to me, really impressed. They really impressed in this tournament.
Yeah, I think when maybe they were in those lower tiers that someone with a keen eye may have recognized some serious talent on them, and in the MIBR organization, and that's why they bought them out, knowing that they could probably get them to top 20, top 10 team this year. So
absolutely.
Scouting.
What do you think about Cloud9's performance? Again, from a Counter-Strike standpoint, we're not talking about the DFS yet. We'll get to the DFS aspect of it. But for Cloud9, for me, looked better. Alex reminds me of Art in a way. Pushing, aggressive. Like, I understand you're going to get information. So, like, I think we're going to see a tier of, like, aggressive IGLs. Art, Alex, Dexter.
Okay.
I mean, like, he seemed to me like more of like an aggressive IGL. He was an information gatherer, trying to figure people were in the map. Like, he was all over the place. But this roster, I think, is coming more and more together from a gameplay standpoint. They looked smoother. Floppy shined. He's been an absolute shining star for this team. I think that whether it's Alex or whether it's Elma Putty or whoever the in the team is drawing it out from, I think Elma Putty's the coach. Whoever's drawing out that
Yeah.
talent in Floppy, my goodness, did he says he been impressive.
hmm
Is there anything about Cloud9 that stood out to you?
I think what really kind of became evident is that they have to work on their strats on some other maps. That they've
Right.
got it down on a few, and once they do, they're going to be they're going to be very good.
That's going to take
Um,
time.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, look at like a team like Astralis. They've been playing together for years now. I mean,
Oh, yeah, that core
Cloud9's been
five's been
together.
together for what, 3, 4 years now? Or what
Yeah,
seems like three,
they
four
could.
years?
I mean, they could probably finish each other's sentences, on the while playing. So,
So,
once Cloud9 gets there, I think it
yeah.
can be very dangerous.
Well, there's also a lot to be said for having the best IGL and best coach in Counter Strike on your team. Um,
Right.
so and then what did you think of Team One? I will say to Team One's credit, they held their own against these teams. They may ended up 0-5, but that doesn't tell the entire tale. They held their own for sure.
I mean, for the team that they are, yeah. I mean, I don't. Did they win a map though? I don't know if they even
I think they
won
won
a
a couple
map.
maps, but like no,
Okay.
they never won a game. But I was really impressed gameplay wise. Train is definitely their playground. My goodness. Um,
Yes.
anyway, all right, Dan. Enough about Group
Yep.
C. It's time to get on to Group D. Let's go. We
Finally.
have Astralis, Endpoint, Evil Geniuses, Fanatic, Team Liquid, and Virtus Pro. All right, so here's
Virtus
what we're
Pro.
going to do. Because there is so much to talk about in this group, Dan. Let's start off with the biggest news of the group, and that's the Bubsky news.
Okay.
So, Bubsky, about a
Okay.
month ago, or whenever it was, there was an article here that was posted on hltv.org, and it's the tagline in the title that stood out to me. And this is something we have to think of for DFS purposes that you and I will talk about here as just a little intro to the DFS before we get to that portion. Bubsky, quote, "We had to rethink the whole idea of a six-man roster. I can now play multiple maps," end quote. That, from a DFS perspective, stands right out to me. So Zipix, Bubsky's been subbing in for Zipix on Nuke. And then I think it was in Katowice, so he never he didn't sub out for Zipix on Nuke, I think, during Katowice. And again, Valve did something with their rules earlier in the year, and I'm not going to get into that now. Quite frankly, I got to do more research on it. But
hmm
that quote to you, Dan, I know to me as a DFS player, that's going to come into play with whoever we're going to play on Astralis until we see what maps he can play and who he's subbing in for.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little bittersweet because I like playing Bubsky, especially in Showdown, because it was either feast or famine, and I definitely won some Showdown slates with Bubsky on my line. But yeah, for the Astralis play, team stacking, like I have to avoid Bubsky and Zipex just for the sub risk until we know more.
Yep. Now, I think, and again, so you and I will talk about this when we get to Evil Geniuses versus Astralis in the actual main slate for March 25th. We'll talk about that. But as a teaser, I don't think he's only going to sub in for Zipix, and that's just a hunch. So I'll
Okay.
explain more about that when we get to that portion. But this is probably the biggest news from a DFS perspective and of the group is that now Astralis, who already were epically strong ads with their core five, is adding in Bubsky. You can now play multiple maps, and we saw the talent this kid had when he was on Mad Lions. There was a reason that Astralis went after him and Esatag. This was not by chance. This was targeted by Astralis. So the
Hmm.
one of, if not the best team in the world, is now going to get a whole lot stronger. Um,
I hope so.
I mean, I love watching Astralis play. So we were
Yeah.
talking about it. Glaive is the best IGL in the world. Zonic is the best coach in the world. It's not close. I think in terms of coaching, it's Zonic and then everyone else. And in terms of IGLs, it's Glaive, then Kerrigan, then everyone else. In terms of just in-game leaders. Like, this team is a well-oiled machine, and we'll come back to this in a little bit from a DFS perspective, but this is definitely the biggest news of the group. The other
Yeah, it
piece.
makes me want to check. Sorry,
Oh,
makes me want to check
go ahead.
Twitter as much as I can until they play tomorrow to see if there's any news released. Because it does seem like maybe Bubsky plays more than what we expect.
Yep, and I think
And
that's the case with that quote being multiple maps. It didn't say how
yeah,
many. We didn't know Navarro on Vitality when he was there only was going to, like, was it one map? Is it just us two? Oh, now he's on Inferno. What is he doing on Nuke? Like, it's going to take time for us to figure out who he's subbing for and on what maps he can play. For all we know, he can play all seven.
right.
All right. The second piece of news is regarding Evil Geniuses. It's really two pieces of news. So, Ethan has decided to leave Evil Geniuses. This was, what, about almost a month ago? Maybe even less. He decided to leave Evil Geniuses and Counter-Strike in general to go play Valorant. So, and that to
Yep.
me is the biggest Valorant signing from Counter-Strike.
Um.
Bigger than Nitro,
Yeah.
bigger than really anything else. It's Ethan's move into Valorant. And this isn't a Valorant
Now,
podcast, but I think that's huge for Valorant's game. It's huge for Ethan's career because I think the international travel a bit that might have been a contributing factor. Maybe he wanted to stay in the States or be close to family or, whatever. And that's totally fine. But Ethan's 20 years old. He's looking at Counter-Strike versus Valorant, versus wherever else he was looking. So I don't blame him. I wish him all the best. He's a phenomenal CS:GO player. But Dan, they replaced him with Obo, formerly of
yeah.
Complexity. And we know how good Obo is. And the kid was 17 back then.
It wasn't very long ago. I mean, less than a year ago that he was our little buddy on
Where we
on
would
complexity.
where we would tilt if we didn't have him on our lineups, and he decided to go absolutely just ham.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I think the Obo signing was a perfect move for EG for this roster. Now, while Ethan departs and Obo comes in, we know Obo, when he originally left Complexity, he was homesick. This was when
Hmm.
he left the team and said, I just need to go home. We haven't seen him in Counter Strike in months, months and months and months. Maybe he's been playing, pugs or doing whatever on his own at home, getting better, and I'm sure he has. But we haven't seen him in competitive on a team Counter Strike since he left Complexity. I think it was last summer.
Yeah, that sounds right.
What do you think about Obo to EG? Because now that he's been home, he's now joining another. This is a pure North American organization as opposed to Complexity, which we know was an international roster. Um, so he's probably rested, he's recharged, he's ready to go. And EG, I wouldn't say is an upgrade from Complexity, but it's one of the two top North American organizations. At least from, like, well, not North American, the United States organizations. Because I would put Furier up there, right up there with Team Liquid, EG probably third. But like EG, that's a phenomenal move for him. What do you think about the Obo move and the Ethan news?
Yeah, I can't blame Ethan for what I mean, I can't be upset for what Ethan did going to Valorant, which is unfortunate. But and yeah, I agree. He was very good, and that was a very big signing for Valorant. But as far as right now in the future for EG, the near future, I don't think it's good. So, and here's why. So EG on in Katowice were able to beat Gambit on Inferno, Complexity on Inferno, G2 on Inferno, but then they just lost to DBL Pony, whoever that is. And DBL Pony includes NBK. And they didn't just lose. I think they got their asses handed to them. So I think that that's a pretty big predictor for what's going to happen to EG in this tournament.
I mean, I can see it. I give this roster a little bit more credit. Um,
Okay.
Breezy is still the ace of this team. Obo can eventually become the number 2 over Cirque. Right now, Cirque's the number 2. I'd put Obo at 3. Tarek is good. He's solid. He's nothing elite, in my opinion. Stanislaw is the IGL for this team. Not exactly known as the highest fragger, but he's definitely one of the better strategy IGLs out there in Counter-Strike. He's definitely top 10.
Yeah, he pops off for sure.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's definitely you're right, it is going to take time for this EG roster to incorporate Obo. Just as we've seen with Fnatic, Mouse Sports, FaZe Clan, Vitality to a certain extent, Complexity getting their full roster back. Cloud9 with Zeppa. Like, we've seen a lot of these teams now. It just takes time. It doesn't matter how hard you work at it. It takes time to get that chemistry up. It takes time to get incorporated. You get your strats, you get your roles. I could see if you really wanted to make the case as the second weakest team in this group next to Endpoint. And again, I'm sorry, no disrespect to Endpoint.
Oh man,
You're not EG. You're not a top 20 team yet. You have good talent, but this is your chance to prove it. So now, well, I really like the Obo signing. Obo's ceiling, while his floor is lower than Ethan's, his ceiling
yeah,
is higher than
definitely.
Ethan's. If EG can draw out that
Um,
if EG can draw out that ceiling out of Obo is what, 17, 18 years old? He's only going to get better. And he's this good this young.
yeah, I mean, I think in a couple, maybe a year or two,
Well,
I would
that's what
agree
I
with that.
mean. Like
But right
I'm
now,
saying overall ceiling as a player. The sky's the
okay,
limit with Obo. I mean, it could take
okay.
days, months, years for him to reach that ceiling, but I think this is a great spot for him overall. Um, let's talk about this group as a whole.
Okay.
Astralis and Virtus Pro are my 2 favorites. Team
Agreed.
Liquid is my 3rd favorite. They are my 3 picks to win this group.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Who are
Okay.
your 3 picks to win this group?
Virtus Pro, Liquid, Endpoint.
Oh my goodness. Dan, I've been so excited to get to this group! What are you talking about?
I know I'm gonna probably be very wrong and regret this, but I watched them play in Katowice and I was very impressed. And Flames is a really good addition, and Crucial's very good if he has the opportunity. And they've been playing together for a while, and they played a ton of Counter Strike last summer and into the fall. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I quit. You can do the rest of your podcast yourself. I quit! I'm
I
done! Endpoints winning. Really? I don't have words, folks. I don't have words for this. What a ballsy call.
Yep.
Um, I t- ah.
And I'm saying Astralis doesn't make it out. That's the other thing
That's a
too.
mega ballsy call.
And that's just a gut feeling. So that's not really based on data or any kind of anything other than my gut.
I need to compose myself. No, I'm kidding. In all seriousness, that's a really interesting call. Look, it's this group. if Endpoint can be on the level with the rest of these teams, we're not only in for fun Counter-Strike, it's going to be a wild ride. Just because if Endpoint pop off 2-3 or 3-3, oh, who's taking the losses? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be EG and Fnatic as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so let's talk about Fnatic. I mean, Astralis,
Okay.
great team. Nothing really to say about them. EG, we know we kind of talked about them during our Ethan and Obo segment. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Do you?
I'm sorry, I was thinking about something else. What was your question?
Stop thinking about Endpoint as the ESL Pro League Season 13 champions, will you?
Yeah, I'm sorry to everyone. All right, repeat your question, please.
I know you're not picking EG to make the playoffs. I'm assuming that's still true.
No. Yeah, no. I mean, I could see them being not even getting a
win.
win.
That's possible. Again, incorporating a new player. I mean, it's Pro League. This is something they want to go for. Again, for whoever wins gets a spot in the Blast Global Final. They get 29 Blast points. The ESL Pro League, ESL Pro Tour points. Like they're all playing for something. It's not the highest prize pool. You're playing for points, and you're playing for money, obviously. But this isn't like it's $100,000 prize pool with $400,000 to first, like we saw with Katowice.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in this. All right, so let's continue talking about Fnatic.
Okay.
And I want to eventually get in the recap here from this past slate for DFS purposes. But let's talk about Fnatic. This team that hasn't played much Counter-Strike over the last couple of months, and shout out, I don't know who it was in the main event DFS Discord CSGO channel that said that. But Dan, Fnatic haven't played that much the last couple of months, I believe is what that person said.
Nope.
And they haven't.
That is true.
But they haven't played much competitive in-event Counter-Strike. Doesn't mean they're not playing. Doesn't mean they're not scrimming. Doesn't mean they're not practicing. This team is still trying to incorporate Chiquino, who, I'm sorry, let's face it, we've never even heard of before in DFS Counter-Strike, but is an up-and-comer in the Swedish CSGO scene. They said, Flusher wanted to go do his project, which I don't even know if it's going to materialize, but, all the best to him. He wanted to change. Whatever. I'm a fan of Flusher. And Fnatic is one of my favorite teams in Counter-Strike. So, while trying to not fanboy either, I think this is the wild card team of this entire group. If they found a way to incorporate Chiquino, even if they're solid on, let's just say, 3 or 4 maps now with him, that could prove to be a difference maker for Fnatic.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I think these teams are too good. This group is too good for them to be any kind of a contender.
I mean, we're talking about Fnatic, who used to be a top 5 team in the world.
With Flusha. Flusha is one of the smartest CSGO players ever. They even thought that he was cheating for like years, and they couldn't prove it because he wasn't, but he was just that good.
I mean, losing Flush was a hit, for sure, but I think the upside of Chiquino was great. Now, we'll say this. I believe Chiquino was primarily an opper. We will need to see who's handling the opping duties, because at times, when they were still incorporating Chiquino earlier this year, JW was still handling some of the opping duties. So it'll be interesting to see over the course of this group, is Chiquino going back to primary opper? What's JW doing? I assume JW is giving me the secondary opper, but we'll see what happens. I just think Fnatic's the wild card of this group. Team Liquid, they've looked good recently ever since they brought in Fallen.
Yeah.
And when Fallen started becoming IGL, no disrespect to Stewie 2K, I'm a fan, but Fallen has just been IGL longer. Man, what a difference when they said, okay, Fallen, you have the reins, go for it. You're the IGL. The team looked so much better.
Yeah, and their new coach too. I always forget his name.
Moses. I'm a fan of Moses.
Moses. He's a big brain guy.
Yep. And you can
You know,
tell that too,
I
because
don't.
Moses used to be an announcer. So like when you and I first started watching Counter Strike last year, Dan, or at least
Mhm.
like I know I was, when we got to those events where he was one of the announcers, he was one of my favorite. Just like
Yeah.
just the way he talked, like you could tell that analytical mind and just the strategy behind it, like you mentioned. He was just such a pleasure to listen to. And now you hear him in interviews and everything else, like it's phenomenal. Like I'm so happy for him that he's the coach of this team.
Yeah, and what I really like is how I think, in my opinion, is he has found a way to make sure that Elige is the focal point of their, I guess, offense. Really, I mean,
I mean,
um,
yeah, that's a good point.
yeah,
I mean,
he's the quarterback.
yeah. Well, I mean, like when Moses came on, Elise was struggling.
Yeah, big
He
time.
was struggling, and like I think I remember seeing part of an interview. I forget with who. Might have been on their blog page or HLTV or HLTV confirmed or somewhere. Um, it's managing personalities. Like think about it. Moses comes in, and then Grim Grim comes in. Twist had clearly had he was with the organization 3 years. He wanted to move on. The organization didn't know what to do. Then they knew Twist was leaving, and then they get to the IEM Global Challenge Finals. Looked really good against Astralis. They didn't win, but they looked good. And then now you have Fallen coming in. Then you got to figure out the IGL duties, and it's like Moses has had a lot to deal with this team from a management perspective of this team, and they've still been doing good and consistent and great. That's a testament to him with how well he's coaching this team.
Coach of the year.
Ooh, I can see it. I can totally see it. And let's talk about the
Yeah.
last one, the powerhouse, the Polish powerhouse, the Polish organization, Virtus.pro,
Oh yeah.
VP, runner-up in IEM
Love him.
Katowice 2021. Wow, this team is
Yeah.
studly. All it took was one lineup change in adding Yakinder.
Kinder, so good. Let me say it
Yakinder
again.
is a
He's so
stud.
good. Yeah.
You can make an argument for him right now as one of the best riflers in Counter Strike.
Yeah. If not the best.
James also arguably top 10 opera in the world. Arguably,
As an IGL, yeah,
no
for
opera.
sure. I
Opera.
mean, there's the. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, as Opera, yeah, definitely. I mean, stat basis alone. Did you see that the play that he did on Mirage where he jumped down? Um, uh, what is in the connector
Hmm.
and had a crazy flick. I don't know. I'm not explaining it very well, but it was a crazy shot, and that was when I became a believer in James. Um, you know, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, James is really, really good. He's also the IGL for the team, and I don't know if for me the jury's out on him as top 10 IGL, but I can see him in that like 5 to 10 range. All right, anything else you want to talk about with this group?
I think Sanji could do good tomorrow, and that's it.
Oh, save it for the portion. Tease it, tease
I know.
it, tease it. Sanji 70 and 20. What? Totally kidding. Sanji goes 70 and 20. I'm happy to donate my money.
That would not be a bold prediction. That would just be
An insane prediction.
yeah,
All right.
impossibility.
So this group is going to be fun. The matchups are going to be great. We're going to see arguably the best Counter Strike that we've seen of any of these groups so far, and it's been such a fun event to watch. Would you agree with that, Dan?
Oh hell yeah!
And it's only going to get better. The talent in this group alone is going to give us some phenomenal Counter Strike, some phenomenal DFS scores. With that being said, let's break down the final day of Group C with the winning lineup in the $30,000 quick scope, 10,000 a first contest. We had a 5-way tie for first place. Captain Bolts Simple, Shiro, Axile, Shiz, and Yell were the winning lineup. 3 MIBR,
Mm.
2 Gambit, 1 Navi.
Adam, we shouldn't brag, but we called it. So I'm
I
just
mean,
gonna,
we did say MIBR was the best leverage play on the slate. And from a
yeah,
DFS standpoint, now that the slate's done, looking back, we did at least you and I as DFS players, and we're trying to help everyone else out. That was a great spot to call leverage. So we did much better at identifying the leverage. Hopefully, you all out there
yes,
played some MIBR and made some money. I see Pappy sitting there at 6th, and
yeah,
we're
that makes me really happy.
we're not going to go there because I think he could have had first place to himself, or possibly. Um, but big shout out to Pappy. He's been on an absolute just DFS heater. I think he's won
Nice.
multiple things now over the last several days. He's just been on point. Keep it up, Pappy. Keep crushing. Getting back to
Make us
this
look good,
lineup.
Pap.
Get, getting back to this lineup. Bolts was the captain you needed. It wasn't Cello. It wasn't Shuz. It wasn't Yell. It wasn't Denoco. It was Bolts. 1.7%. 15% owned overall. Shuz was more owned than him. Yell was more owned than him. 126.75 DK points. Talk to me about this lineup. And is there anything that stands out to you at all?
Um, I mean, yeah. So the way that I would look at it is the Bolts captain is a little odd for me. I don't think that I would have gone that path, but I think that was what you liked yesterday when we were doing our predictions was I think Bolts and captain. I think you said that. I mean, Shiro and Axile, that's pretty much a no brainer. The one off simple, we've been harping on that for you know days now. And he was in a low ceiling spot, so it made sense to only one off and not in the captain. And then Shiz and Yell they were cheap, and you could jam them in there and hope that MIBR won.
I was. I don't think I ever would have considered an MIBR captain. Maybe I
Okay,
would have, but I don't think I would have ever considered a 3-man stack against Cloud9. I was considering a 2-man stack for sure. Bolt's captain was very bold. Um,
yeah,
I don't think I said Bolt's captain. He's my third favorite on the team. I wasn't sure what to make of him. I knew I wanted to play Cello. I knew I wanted to play Shush. But the Bolt's captain one, I just didn't know what to make of it. There was something about this spot for him, and he ended up going off. So
they had an overtime too, I think, right?
yeah, that was what a map one. I didn't see much of map two. Map one went 19 to 17. All of the stats, which again, looking back on this, yeah, Cloud9 got swept. It wasn't like Cloud9 got stomped all over. All right,
No,
30 rounds not played bonus means map two went the distance, if not overtime.
yeah, it was 16-14.
So
16-14, I believe.
yep, which means look at the stat lines. 54, 12, and 42. Great, that stands out. 50, 17, 47, 45, 10, and 38. They were closer stat lines and everyone had frags. That's how close this game was from a stat perspective. It's not like they were just having all these like oodles of people that were left over every single round. It was very, very close. So with that being said, um, we're all getting better. Hopefully, you all watching are getting better too, and those of you that are listening and watching at the same time, or however you listen to this podcast, hopefully you're getting better too. Hopefully, this is helping everybody make better decisions.
Yeah.
Dan, you ready to get into this first day of Group D? Let's go! Let's
Let's do it.
go! All right. You ready? Because I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right. I'm going to
Red
suggest,
D.
let
Get
me
it?
adjust this here. We have, once again, Dan, a $30,000 quick scope contest, $10,000 to first.
Nice,
You,
dude.
you love to see it. All right, so
Hopefully Pat gets it tomorrow.
there you go. And then Pappy, all we're asking for is a simple 50-50 split between Dan and I, and you can get our thanks. With
Uh,
totally kidding. All right, Dan, let's go. Let's go ahead and get into this. Let's start off the first game here: Virtus Pro versus Endpoint. I think the pricing on here is fair for Virtus Pro. I think your Kindar is a little overpriced though. Talk to me about Virtus Pro, and then talk to me about Endpoint.
Kinder is not overpriced in my opinion. Um, the man is good, especially up against Endpoint, and I think that they're gonna absolutely crush Endpoint. But I think that Endpoint could drag it out, which could increase the Kinder's ceiling. Um, but maybe James could be a little bit higher even. But I like the 8800 for sure. Um, and Buster, I don't know too much about actually. Kicker either. Sanji, though, the last time they faced Endpoint, I think was top fragger and went like plus 15
That's
in the
crazy.
match. So that there's sometimes these matches do repeat themselves.
Yeah. All right, so let me put this out to you then.
Yep.
Let me put this out to you, dude. I think James under 9,000 purely because of we have Astralis on the slate and they have 3 Astralis and over 9,000. We'll get to that game. Yakindar at
Yep.
96. I understand its endpoint. That's a little too expensive for me. $9,000 I can see. I just think is a little too overpriced for me. We have 3 Astralis that are over 9,000 against EG, which you yourself said could end up being the worst of this performing of the group. Again, not because they're all bad, because they're incorporating a new player. They're all incorporating Obo's learning all the strategies. Maybe roles get changed up while Obo's learning different things in practice. However these teams do it. If we have Astralis stomp through EG and 3 of them are 9,000, how are we getting to Yakindar and Jame at their high salaries?
Fading device. I'm
Okay,
not gonna play.
ballsy.
Yeah.
I like it. And again, we'll get there
I'm
because
not even going.
you and I talked pre-show of a couple players, or at least one in particular, that stood out at their low price tag on Astralis. And y'all can probably guess
Yeah.
who it is because I don't think he gets enough credit in the salary department on DK. But we'll get there. So
Not sure why either.
So Buster and Kickard on this team are kind of a 3A, 3B. No one of them just stands out every single game as I'm the third best player on this team. Behind obviously Jame 1, Yakindar 2.
Yeah.
Sanji I don't mind versus Endpoint. Um I guess it depends on maps. So Sanji's another one that likes Inferno.
Yep. That's right. We went through that last time too. I
Mm-hmm.
think Sanji Ferno or
Whatever name we want to give it. Are you playing any Endpoint in the slate?
no, no,
I
not
think
tomorrow.
I do think we're gonna have our chance to play Endpoint. I think they're gonna be
Yep.
some great leverage in certain matchups. For example, like you and I were talking pre-show, I think Endpoint can beat Fanatic. I think Endpoint can
Mhm.
beat EG. They have a chance of beating
Mhm.
Team Liquid. And like
Mhm.
I think when we get to the Endpoint Fnatic matchup, depending how we see Fnatic do and when that matchup occurs, I might just plant my flag on Endpoint and just go full leverage. Because Fnatic should be high owned against them. Like, look, it's Endpoint. If you're out there watching, this is a team that has made it in the ESL Pro League against 5 juggernauts. I'm
Mm.
sorry, there are 5 juggernauts in Endpoint as organizations, and just as what we've seen in Counter Strike. So I agree with you. And I'm not playing any Endpoint in the slate. If you're MMEing in large field GPPs and you want to get some Endpoint stacks, my favorite would be Surreal, Flames, and Crucial.
Yeah. Rob, I kind of like Robin though.
Robin at four
Just
thousand
because,
dollars.
yeah, the price is right. I mean, even if they, even if he gets, let's say he gets even KD ratio and he gets like 30 and 30, and they get swept and they get the 15 RNP, I mean, he could end up with 40 points, which is really all you need at 4,000.
10x is the salary.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
So anything else you want to talk about here? I mean, VP,
No.
everybody's in play.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So for me, if I'm going to rank them, Yakindar 1 if you can make it fit. James 2. Buster 3. Yeah, I just kind of on the way. Yeah, Kicker at 4, Sanji 5, but I can see Sanji end up being the third best performer slash third best fragger on this team tomorrow, or for this slate rather. You just have to pick one of Buster or Kicker and hope you get them right.
Right. Exactly.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Fanatic versus Team Liquid. Elige finally getting the respect he deserves. He's 9,200 on this slate. Talk to me about Fanatic before we get into Team Liquid.
Fnatic, I definitely like for tomorrow against Liquid. I think that I don't know Giacchino too well, but I've seen him perform okay on maybe a map or two. But what I think could happen is that the kill concentration could go to Brolin and Crims, are two favorite Fnatic players. And JW at 4,600 is a bit of an insult to JW because he is very good.
Absolutely. There's no reason JW should be cheaper than Golden.
No,
There's
no.
there's no reason for it. So yes, we're gonna take advantage of that on this slate.
Yeah, JW for sure. And if anybody doesn't know, JW is similar to Art.
I wouldn't say
He
he's
does have
similar to
that
Art.
aggressive.
I don't think JW is as aggressive as Art.
Okay,
But he's
similar.
definitely kind of similar.
Kind of.
Listen, Fnatic fanboy over here. Fnatic were my original #1 favorite team when I got into Counter Strike.
Oh no shit.
I have a Fnatic T-shirt. I own one. I'm not gonna lie. I own a Fnatic T-shirt. I am a Fnatic fan. But with that
Dude,
being
now I
said,
want one.
listen, I also need to get me my heroic jersey. Except the heroic shop don't ship to the States yet. So
Huh.
anyway, Crims I think is one of, if not the best play on the slate.
Yeah, I agree. At that price, for sure.
He's been the best fragger. He's 8,200. People may go stars and scrubs. We'll call it stars and scrubs. Get those 9,000s up there. Maybe device to 10,000. Get the punts or low on cheap guys. Crims could go overlooked.
I hope so.
I mean, he's definitely, in my opinion, the best play on the slate. If you want to call it a hot take, if you want to call it a bold prediction, however you want to call it, Crims is my favorite play on the slate, and I think he's the best play on the slate. The other piece of news that we haven't talked about, Broland has signed a contract extension with Fnatic. He is on this team until 2024 is when the contract expires. And then he will become a free agent.
Good for him. He deserves it.
Yep. I can see Broland, like, once 2023, early 2024 comes around, I can see him signing another contract extension. I really can't see Broland anywhere else, unless he wants to go somewhere else, into another team. I just can't see Broland leaving Fnatic, and he's locked into this team for the next 3 years. The kid's only getting better.
Yeah.
He's really the ace of the team, not Crims. But, like, Crims has picked up a lot of the slack. So it's been nice to see. Crims is still the best player on the slate. He's still the best fragger on this team. Broland's really the one of this team. It's really Broland's team.
Yeah. So I just want to give one quick take, is that in the past 6 months, Crim's rating was 1.09, and it increased by 0.04 in the last 3 months, which is actually very significant. And his impact went up by almost 0.07. So
You love to see it.
something changed. Yeah, something changed. And I mean, we did, we've got the eye test too. And we like it. So
Absolutely. Berlin at 7,000, I think, is ridiculous. That's about $1,000 too cheap for him. He should be in.
yeah.
He should be in the high sevens to low eight range, to low eights range. My opinion.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I guess if you take the stance that they beat Liquid tomorrow, I think Brolin's a good play. But if they lose, I'd be a little worried for Brolin.
I think
As
Fnatic
far
win.
as
I do think Fnatic beat Team Liquid.
yeah, so do I. But I think it's gonna be close.
Oh, I agree. I think it's gonna be 2-1. And I really think we're gonna see a lot of close maps. Just to be
Yeah.
honest, like this game from a Counter Strike standpoint is the best game of the day.
Oh hell yeah.
But I I
Hell yeah.
do I do think Fnatic end up. I think they've had time to figure things out with Chiquino. And I do think this team is going to be. They're going to come out. I want to say guns blazing, but they're going to come out with new strategies. And I think they're going to. I think they're going to beat Team Liquid in this matchup. With that being said, don't play Flusha.
Good point.
Let me just say that again. Don't play Flusha. He's not on the active roster. That is all.
Thank you, Adam.
It is my pleasure. I am here to serve.
Dude.
Chiquino was
You
one
need
of
to
what? I need to what,
you need to
Dan?
take this on the road. We need to take this on the road. It'd be like the what the hell's that show? The Canadian show with Bubbles and Trailer Park Boys. You know how they go on the road and they
I've
do live
never
shows?
I've never
We
heard
could
of
do
them
live.
before, but did you just call me a comedy act?
Yeah. Well, no, I think we both are. I mean, I have to take some credit here.
You
Obviously,
just
I'm kidding.
you just turned into my de facto agent. I'm not paying you, sir. Anyway, all kidding aside, Chiquino was a great GPP play on this slate. He's a great GPP play because no one's probably going to play him. No one knows what to expect out of him after what we've seen in the last couple of events that he was in. Like, putting into context what we've seen in him on this team hasn't been good. We've seen
Right.
strokes of brilliance, but most of it's been lackluster. All right, so he's getting
Well
time
said.
to incorporate into Tier 1 Counter-Strike. The level of competition is higher. The level of talent is much higher. And not disrespecting any of the other tiers. It's just once you get to this tier, it's called Tier 1 for a reason. So, with that being said, if you're stacking Fnatic and you want to go and put some Fnatic, some Chiquino into your Fnatic stacks, all right, and you want to put him like, you want to go Crims Chiquino, you want to go Broland Chiquino, maybe you get Frisky and go Chiquino JW. All right, I'm not playing Golden. Golden's the IGL for this team. I'm not playing Golden. So, are you playing any Chiquino on the slate?
Yeah, not in a single entry. But I could see it in the MME or GPP. I do have a question though. So I just looked up his stats, and he was playing for the Tootsie's Angels as recently as last week.
Say that again.
Chiquino was playing for the Tootsie Angels last
Really?
week
I'll tell you what. We'll check that
against
out.
Little Mix, Young Ninjas.
Wait a minute. That said. Yeah.
I mean, it might mean nothing.
Let's take a look.
So he's at the very least he's been playing. I think we might want to check the news though, just in case.
I haven't seen anything like that. Let me go to. 1 second.
Hmm?
Let's go to Chiquino. Let's take a look. Matches. Yeah, Tootsie's Angels. How about that? I wonder if he was just sent out on loan.
Well, he's got some FPL videos on his Twitter, so maybe it's FPL. I doubt it though, because I think
Sorry,
that's
folks. We're trying to figure this out and figure out why he was on a different team.
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't look like. It looks like he will definitely be playing tomorrow based on his Twitter account.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, I don't know, is this the same Robin that's on Endpoint?
Yes, that's him. Yep.
That's the same Robin that's Endpoint. Okay, so we have 2 people from this group that have. I don't know. Maybe this was something different. Maybe they were just loaned out for a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, good note.
Yep. Let's get back to it.
Yep. I wouldn't play a lot of Giacchino, but I would definitely play some Giacchino in large field GPPs. And like we said, JW's at 4,600 is just too low. He's too low.
Yeah.
All right, we spent a lot of time talking about Fnatic. Team Liquid. Talk to me.
Naf and Liege. I mean, for single entry, those are the only 2 guys I would go near, especially Naf with the price.
Nap is
Grim's just been,
6,400.
yeah. I mean, that's almost a lock, especially since he's opping.
Yep.
Um,
If you think Team Liquid beat Fnatic, I would absolutely make sure you get a lot of exposure to Nap at 6,400. But Dan, I know you like playing Nap and Liege. Fallen's $5,400.
hmm. Hmm.
He's thinking about it, folks. I may have just had him change his lineup. Talk to me about Fallen at 5,400 because I think that's kind of crazy considering how well he's been doing.
Yeah, and so what I just realized is that I kind of regressed to an old logic where Naf was the opper, and
Yeah.
that is no longer the case. And yeah, we saw Fallen do really well on Liquid and MIBR.
Mm-hmm.
So 5,400 seems a little bit low. It's kind of like the JW conundrum.
It
I'm still
definitely
sticking with
makes you
with
think
Naf
about
and
what
Lee.
to do. Well, right. I mean, like Nap and Elias are going to be the chalk.
Yeah.
I just think that's too low for Fallen. Everyone from Team Liquid is in play. MMEs and large field GPPs. Stewie 2K is 2,000 overpriced.
This would probably be my hedge match where, if I was playing multiple single entries, I'd play some from both sides.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely agreed. I think like on in a lot of these other 3-game slates that we've seen, Dan, this game to me feels like you have to get this game right to win a GPP. Or to even cash for that matter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
So,
there's not enough options on the other. Well,
kinda sorta. I mean, it's like I
no,
think you have to get this game right to win it to win a GPP. I'll put it that way.
There's no way you can do a 3-3 Astralis on VP. The prices are too high, right? Or maybe you can. Sanji is so cheap.
Let's just say we get. I'll just put in there. Let's just put, Glaive at captain. Let's put a device, a Yakindar, a Buster, a
Oop.
Sanji, and I made us. I mean, you can make a 3-3 work.
You're forced to play certain people, though.
You're forced to play a lot of like the less not lesser players, but not the highest fraggers on the team.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about from Fnatic or Team Liquid other than what you
Nope.
know? I think Stewie 2K is overpriced, and Grim at 7,200 he's fine.
Agreed.
All right,
Move on.
folks. Last game: Evil Geniuses versus Astralis.
I
I'm gonna
mean,
I'm gonna point out one thing off the bat. Obo's listed as out and is $4,200.
huh, that's a good observation.
Bubsky's listed as questionable and is $9,000. This isn't the NBA. Or any other
Yeah, that's
majors where
weird.
we have to deal with this. Obo is not out. Obo is playing. All right.
Game time
Obo is
decision, Dan.
playing.
Game time decision.
Dan, no. No. Don't even. Listen, James Harden was a game time decision last night. Was the best player in that entire slate.
He's so good, though.
I don't want to hear it. Talk to me about evil geniuses.
I can't do it. Not against Astralis. They're just gonna tear him apart. I mean, maybe. No, you can't do it. And I'm probably gonna fade device just using similar logic as today, where the ceiling is not high enough for the price. But Dupree, on the other hand, I could see Dupree killing everybody.
I listen. I can see this as a Dupree day. I can see it being Dupree day.
Thank you. I appreciate the concur.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the rest of this game, and then I'll finally close on my teas.
Okay, so I'm just going to piggyback on what you already noticed, and that was Glaive at 6,200, which is practically a lock for me. So
Glaive might be my favorite captain play on the slate. Based on price, based on talent, based on matchup, based on we need to jam in a ton of other studs.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anything else?
That's it for me.
All right, I'm going to get into closing up my teas. I said earlier in this podcast. Oh, and by the way, before I get into my teas, I'm going to tease you a little longer. Make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment down below, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you all know every time a podcast drops. Teased you long enough, folks. I think Bubsky can end up subbing in for Magisk as well as Zipix. And maybe Dupree. But I think...
Oh, that would not be good.
I don't think he subs in for Dupree. And it's a long shot. I think Bubsky continues to sub in for Zipix. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Bubsky sub in for Magisk. I'm just going to put that out there. Until we see what the quote-unquote multiple maps, end quote, are. Right? So if he's saying I can now play multiple maps, quote-unquote, what on earth are we going to do with some of these other players? Glaive is device is safe. Glaive is safe. Dupree is somewhat safe. Zipix is not safe. Personally, and I have nothing to back this up on, I don't think Magisk is safe. And Magisk is $7,600.
Yeah. I have to agree with you on that one, for sure, if it happens.
EG, large field GPPs only. And
Amen.
MME preferred. You want to take a stand, and you want to play EG on this slate and not play Astralis, I'm okay with that.
And it's not going to take much to get over the field either.
No, it's not.
Saying.
It's really not. All right.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, again, I think because Bubsky can, quote, now play multiple maps, end quote, that really, really worries me for DFS purposes, because that is a huge unknown. Again, we know Device is safe because he's the Opper. We know Glaive is safe because he's the IGL. Bubsky is a rifle fragger. Fraggler.
Fraggler. Down at Fraggle Rook.
Listen, Zywe. Don't you start Zywe over there. I too can butcher the English language from time to time. Because Bubsky's a rifle fragger, I think Dupree's at risk. We know Zipix is at risk because Bubsky's been subbing out for Zipix on Nuke. I still think that's the case, unless they switched up their map strategy. But I also think Magisk is no longer safe. That's my own opinion. Again, I have nothing to base that on. But that quote to me signals that if you're not Device or Glaive, that worries me. Now, for DFS purposes, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about this game because we're just getting over an hour now. All right, it's Group D. Let's go. Well, it's the starter Group D. We have 4 more days of this, folks. People are gonna put their earplugs in for tomorrow's podcast as I don't yell in their ear to start with their ears to start. Anyway,
well, hopefully they made it this long.
If you want to play it safe on this slate and just play Device and Glaive, I think that is a 100% viable strategy because we don't know what the new sub risk is for Astralis. Would you agree with that?
I like it. I agree 100%. But I do like Dupree better in this matchup. So I might take the risk. And I've never seen him. I've never seen him subbed. I only know that he's not so great on Vertigo, but I don't think that. I think EG bans Vertigo, so I'm not too worried about Dupree. But I agree with you that there is.
I just think from a safety standpoint.
Yes. There's plenty of other good plays.
Agreed.
At the same price.
All right, we can continue talking about Group D in the next slate. This is very exciting. Okay. Hopefully you all have found this entertaining, exciting, and fun, and hopefully we've given you a lot of great analysis. Dan, 1 core play, yes. 1 value play, 1 GPP play.
Core, I'm going with my boy Yakinder. Value, I'm going to go with JW, and GPP, let's go with Alish.
I like it. Core play for me is Crims. Like I said, I'm sticking to my guns on this one. I'm planting my flag. I think Crims is going to be the best play on the slate. I think he is the best play on the slate. Captain Crims, if you can make it fit and still get all those other high-priced players. Like, let me make this clear. If I was 20 maxing in this or MMEing, I want to expose to Device, Yakindar, Dupree, Elige, Jame, Zipix, Crims, Buster, Magisk, Breeze, Grim, Brolan. I want to expose to anybody. If I need to get salary relief, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, captain play on the slate is Captain Glaive.
Okay.
Captain Glaive is only going to cost you $9,300. Captain Glaive is cheaper than Flex Device. All right, so let's just say I want to go Captain Glaive, Device, Yakindar, Jame, Crims, JW. I'm 500 feet. I get stud. If I want to get off Device, Dupree.
There's my lineup.
That's a good looking lineup, isn't it?
Actually, more or less, that is exactly what I have for my single entry.
You could go Glaive. Magisk if you wanted to. Glaive Device. Maybe you want to go play Buster.
Yeah.
It's doable. Value play. I agree with you, JW. That's just it's too low for him. Oboe 4,200 is too low. Fallen 5,400 is too low. Obviously, Circa's getting the discount at 5,800 versus Device. Also a value play for me on the slate. Endpoint, like I said, all due respect, I'm just not playing you against Virtus Pro on the slate. GPP play.
Right.
Brolan's at 7,000. Chiquino at 6,200 are my GPP plays on the slate. And obviously Yakindar. Dan, favorite team stack, bold prediction. Let's get out of here.
Favorite team is going to be Fanatic. Bold prediction is that our podcast tomorrow will be less than an hour.
Really, Dan? Bold prediction. Podcast about less than an hour. You're fired, good sir. I am only kidding.
I know.
All right, bold prediction for this slate. What do you got?
Um,
Other than our podcast will be less than an hour tomorrow.
yeah, now I can't think of anything. So I'm actually gonna, okay, so I'm gonna do something weird, and I'm gonna say Bubsky plays 2 maps.
That's a bold prediction. And again, if
Yeah.
you somehow want to play $9,000 Bubsky in like one lineup and just like total dart throw,
1 lineup out
Yeah.
of 100.
we don't know. There's too many variables. We don't know the maps yet.
Yeah.
My favorite team stack on this slate is Virtus Pro. My bold
Yep.
prediction is that Crim. I don't know it's not much of a bold prediction. Let me get a little bolder.
Okay.
You need Captain Glaive to win a GPP, and he will be the optimal. Not the optimal. He will be the captain that wins someone a GPP tomorrow.
I hope it happens.
Because you're going to have how many other people? They're going to want to captain how many of these other players and try to make their lineups fit. Glaive is sitting there cheap. Captain Glaive is cheaper than Flex Device. Captain Glaive is cheaper than Flex Yukindar. Captain Glaive is cheaper than Flex Dupree. I don't know how bold that is, but I'm going with it. Again, everybody, hit that like button. Leave a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you guys know every single time one of these podcasts drop. Dan, final thoughts on the slate. Let's get out of here. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts? It's Group D, baby.
That's right. It's Group D. All
That's
right,
it.
folks.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening. And again, we've got some other big news coming up. More on that in the coming weeks. For Dan, you can find him on Twitter at Wandelch, WANDELCH. You can find me on Twitter at AdamWX21. We wish you the best of luck on this slate. Good luck. Latest, peoples.